So what's up in San Francisco, Sorhan?
Man, a whole lot. So I've been here for about 3 months now. And the reason I moved here was to get into the whole entrepreneurial space here. I have a couple of friends that moved here a few years ago, and they just showed that how they show me how big of a game changer it is just to be here. And I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so I was in Palo Alto for 2 months. Palo Alto wasn't as, I guess it wasn't popping as much as San Francisco, especially South San Francisco. That's where I live. But I understood that I could find roommates in San Francisco. So I was at an Airbnb for 2 months. And then I finally found two engineers to room with. And yeah, so it's been 3 months. And my goal has been to go to basically one hackathon a month. So right now I'm working as a developer. I'm a senior data engineer at UMortgage. It's a startup that's been around for now 3.5 years. It's a lot of work, but on the side, I've just been delving deeper and deeper into AI and the projects that are happening in the space. And the reason I like going to the hackathons, especially here in San Francisco, is because it gives you firsthand information to the latest innovations and technology and tools that are available. Because at hackathons, a lot of companies show up and they want you to use their tool and win the hackathon. And they use that as like, on LinkedIn, or Grok, for example, was at one of the events, and they gave us a bunch of credits and
Oh, cool. Yeah.
give us their API to use. And we ended up winning the hackathon actually, and they posted it on their socials, which is pretty cool. But it's a way for them to market themselves also. So you get to see all these new companies that are on startups. And, if you live in Colorado or in Arizona, where I used to live before, you might hear about these tools like 18 months later. You know what I mean? So that's the main reason here. And yeah, I have a couple of friends that launched.
What you were telling me earlier was really cool, that like these hackathons can sometimes carry over and develop a project through a hackathon. And
These hackathons are pretty dope.
I was just gonna ask, what kind of products or like what kind of like projects are you seeing people put out? Like, is it like developer tools like focused primarily, or is it like what other kinds of things are people branching off to? Does it depend on the hackathon? Like, what have you been seeing?
It depends on a hackathon. So I went to a web event, for example, where it was blockchain and AI agents, and that was very unique. And it was focused on FinTech the most. So I've been in FinTech for the last 4 or 5 years. I worked at Amex, and now I work at a mortgage company. I also worked at a different bank before. So I've been in FinTech for a while. So it was nice to see how AI and blockchain can collide and create new tools. And that's where I'm mostly excited about being in San Francisco. And other hackathons, the ideas seem pretty simple, but AI agents are basically becoming more and more popular. That's something that most hackathons talk about AI agents. A lot of startups that show up to these hackathons to sponsor the hackathon are AI agent companies. One of the best ones is called Toolhouse AI. And the CEO of the company showed up. It was so cool. Like he gave us $1,500 credit for the tool that they have. And we found a bug. And right there, he pulled his laptop, fixed the bug, deployed it to production. It was like, it's awesome. I was like, man, this is so dope. And so,
yeah.
And then we all went to a bar after. Well, it was a 2-day hackathon. So after the first night, we took a break, went to a bar next door. And he was there. I had no idea who he was at first. And I was like, hey, how's it going? What are you working on? And he was like, oops, sorry, let me put my phone on mute. And he was like, oh, I'm actually with Toolhouse. I'm the CEO of Toolhouse. I was like, whoa, you're the CEO of that company? That's awesome. Your tool is pretty amazing. And I asked him, so how long has it been since you guys have been working on this? And he was like, well, we were 5 developers, and it's been about 8 to 9 weeks that we've been working on it. And it just blew my mind, because I think that's what's also going to happen in the next 2 years, where we're going to see more startups being launched in the next 2 years than ever before in human history here, especially here in San Francisco. Because development is becoming cheaper and a lot easier and faster. And now you also minimize conflicts within co-founders, because you don't have to have as many co-founders, right? You could just have either yourself and funds, because it's cheaper. If you have enough money, you could fund your project yourself, or just find another co-founder and launch something. I know in Texas and in Arizona, every project that I launched, I brought in most of my friends, because we all had a full-time job. So we could only spend 20 hours a week. So we had like 4 or 5 co-founders, and it was just too many chefs in the kitchen and too many conflicts. So I'm excited about that. AI is basically your co-founder, right? So those are pretty much the sentiments of like what's happening in this space right now in San Francisco. But the primary focus is on AI agents, I would say. I'll pause here for now, and we can talk about other tools or questions.
No, yeah, I'd love to dive in kind of more actually to the concept of like fewer co-founders and kind of what that like looks like in reality. Like, are you seeing that it's more technical people kind of launching their own thing, or do you see that it's like people more towards the sales end of the spectrum launching their own thing without a technical co-founder, or do you see that it's a mixture of both out in San
Right.
Francisco?
Gotcha. So I want to preface this by saying I've only been here for 3 months, and anything else outside of that is things I've heard from my friends that are here. I would say the two skills of sales and marketing, or understanding ads and even influencer marketing, a lot of people that I've met don't have much experience in that realm. They're mostly programmers that end up focusing so much on a product and solving a problem, which is a good thing. But they're still, in my opinion, lacking that skill of marketing and sales. And so it's mostly engineers that are focusing on development. But that's going to go away, in my opinion. I think right now we have a leg up over people who don't know how to code, because if you know how to code, you could still build. Maybe 4 or 5 years from now, I think you could just code with plain English, right? You don't even have to know the architecture of how you're building things. But right now, programmers have an amazing opportunity to build their own projects, their own startups. And one more thing so because of going to hackathons, I ended up meeting some really cool people back in college. And, you meet some really ambitious people that are smart, awesome programmers, and, they want to build things and become entrepreneurs. Two of the guys that I met, Josiah and Julian, both of them launched when OpenAI came out with their API and AI started getting popular. They both focused on some projects. One of them is, it's called MyMarket.ai. And if I had to guess, he's close to probably $1 million a year now. You could correct me if he hears this, but I think last I heard he was getting close to $50K a month. So that's pretty close to $1 million. I think $1 million is what, $70K a month. And what he does is it creates social media posts for you. You type in your website link or a business idea that you have, and it creates social media posts for you. So it's mymarket.ai. And it's a simple subscription-based. It's more complex for an AI app, I would say, but it's still not that hard to develop something like that with AI. If you have 2 programmers, within 4 months, you could develop something like that. And then in terms of marketing, right now, the easiest way, in my opinion, to market is get some low-level influencers to give you a shout-out in a specific niche. That's what he did. And he went from 1K to 6K, and now he's up to like 50K within a year. The other friends launched a very even more simple AI app called Wisdolia.ai. He just changed the name to jungleai.com. I'm not sure why he did that, but because they were doing pretty well. I mean, I think they got to 350K, and then a year, and they changed the name to Jungle AI. So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. It's been a month since I've done that, but basically, you drop YouTube links or upload a PDF, and it just creates a quiz for you, just like Quizlet. It creates a quiz for you and creates flashcards for you as a student. And I think they focused on medical students as their niche. So they reached out to a bunch of medical student influencers on TikTok and on Instagram and YouTube. And they were able to use that, primarily that, to increase their revenue to now. I haven't talked to him in a couple months, but last I heard, he was around 400K. His goal is to get it to 5 million ARR and exit the company. That's crazy. So these are not like unicorn companies. These are just, it's like the new dropshipping, if you're a developer, I
was gonna say, in so many ways though, it's like it's a bigger exit than a venture-backed company would have been for a sole developer in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, he has raised money. So at the time he was working at Facebook, and he quit his job at Facebook. I was working on him on a project myself, and I was a co-founder. He quit his job, and we had a conflict of vision on where he wanted to take the startup. So I left. I think nothing negative, but I left the startup, and he continued it. The idea didn't work out after 8 months, and then OpenAI came out, and he shifted to AI and created this flashcard AI software. And then he raised, so before that, he raised 240K, I believe. And then again, he raised, I think, another $300,000 these are not accurate numbers, but it's just estimating how much he raised.
Right.
And he also got into an incubator here. So the game here in San Francisco is you have an idea, you raise money for yourself so you can pay yourself a salary so that you can quit your job and work on your startup full time. It's not so much the culture in other states, like in Texas, like it's more so like bootstrap it as much as you can, be very frugal, lean startup. And then once you have proof of concept and MVP that's working, then you raise money if you need it. Here's the opposite. You raise money when you have an idea, you quit your job, and then you start building it. And that's what he did. He just had the idea and he made it happen. So now he's part of an incubator also, which I think their grant is $300K for 5% equity. So actually overall, he's probably raised 800, 900K. But yeah.
Right. But but he's probably like he's probably the only person on that team though, right? Like it's probably not like 100, it's probably not like 20, 30 people like it would have had to be a few years ago.
Oh no, it's like,
for that
so it's him, David, these are two co-founders. They have, I believe, 2 engineers and 1 marketer. So it's a 5-person company.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's interesting to me, like the availability of these influencers in San Francisco, LA, probably Austin too, and just how AI can spin up projects quickly is a kind of an interesting relationship, because I'm sure it helped them to get their project off the ground faster than it would have before OpenAI came out.
Yeah, I mean, the influencers aren't in San Francisco, right? They're just on TikTok, and so you find your niche, right? And then you make an Excel sheet of all the profiles that are real. You have to look at their counts. See if they have 100,000 followers and they get like, let's say 1,000 views per video. That's a fake account, right? So I have spent probably $3,000 on fake accounts before, just trying to get my projects going up. And you learn quickly that, okay, a Tutor account that has a lot of followers, they're all bots. Even the likes and shares and stuff, it's heartbreaking, but it's still, in my opinion, a better return than running ads, mainly because most people don't understand ads. I mean, I myself don't understand as much as I should. But for example, like I just bought some Thursday boots. I don't know if you've heard of the amazing company, Amazing Boots. But it took them probably 2 years and I don't know, maybe 12 ads for me to actually finally say, okay, I want to buy it, right? And a lot of people don't realize that when you first launch your company and start running ads on whatever service you wanna offer, that first money you spend for the first month or 2 is just sacrificing the lamb. You're not gonna get anything back. Most people just stop their ads thinking, okay, this ad isn't working, the ad world is bullshit. It's like, no, people have to see your product again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Finally buy it. I think the number is 7, seeing your ad at least 7 times. Yeah, there's a good book by Dan Kennedy. He's like the goat of the ad world, called Why Advertising Fails. He mentions all this stuff in there. But yeah, so running ads would be like, I think the second best way to get customers, but you have to know what you're doing with ads. It's not as simple as just running ads on Google. And
kind of semi-related. I feel like this is like a bit more philosophical of a point, but like, what do you think like the second order effects are going to be of there being more startups launched than there ever have before? Like the advertising made me think of it, because like there's going to be double the amount of companies that there ever have been, or at least, right? Like, but what else do you think that'll affect, or do you think they'll just be more success? I'm hoping they'll just be more smaller, successful companies with less people involved. But I don't know. That seems utopian.
So I'm still optimistic because there are still way more problems out there than there is software solutions resolving those problems. There's just not enough programmers, and even deeper than that, there aren't that many leaders to lead a group of programmers to create the solutions, and not enough marketers to actually get it to the finish line where you're actually creating revenue. So I think there's still a big bottleneck that if you're tenacious and you are motivated to just not give up and learn about marketing and building something and find your niche, it doesn't matter. So like the app that my buddy has, I think there's probably around, I saw a Reddit post one time, I think maybe he screenshot it on LinkedIn, but basically his app was somebody asked like, what's the best flashcard AI app out there? And somebody had mentioned Reddit is another great way to market, but he had mentioned his app among 12 other apps that do the same exact thing. It's just the internet is so vast. I think our human brain can't grasp what that means. Like picture 1,000 people and then picture 1,000,000 people. We really can't. A million people is like,
So much more than you think. Yeah.
Yeah. The internet is like, it's so big that it's okay if somebody has an app that, like right now, just last month, I launched an AI app to summarize YouTube videos for, I'm in a trading group. I trade crypto and shit coins and meme coins on the side sometimes. And I have a group chat that we use YouTube videos because, I mean, a YouTube video could be like 2 hours long and they mentioned 40 coins in there. And you want to go through it really fast and buy the ones that he just mentioned before it basically goes up. Especially if a YouTube video has like 100,000 views in an hour, like a really famous influencer, you want to buy the coins immediately and then sell off when it pops a little bit. So it's a decent world for sure. But most of the summarizers out there, if you know what you're doing, it's gambling, but you could make good money out of it. But one problem we were having was we didn't have a YouTube summarizer out there that wasn't lazy. So I decided to create one. It's called Bevi.ai right now, Bevi.ai. Basically, I made sure it's not a lazy summarizer. So if I drop a video there, it will give me all the coins that I need with timestamps of where they're at. And I can also chat with the video. It's like a RAG / just an OpenAI app. So it switches based on similarity to RAG or just using AI. So you can chat with the video and all that. Right now it's free, but I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to probably add a Stripe account to it and a payment feature to it and charge people maybe $2-3 a month, pay an influencer, maybe get up to $2,000-3,000. If not, all good, but there's a possibility that I could do that. There's an app out there called NoteGPT that does this, summarizes YouTube's, and they have gotten to $30K a month just on the YouTube component. So
what kind of like tech are you using to like summarize this, like stream the summary? Is it like live chat or?
I'm using just OpenAI and React, Postgres, and Flask. That's
nice.
the stack and OpenAI API. I am switching between Anthropic from Cloud and OpenAI. And for RAG, I'm using ChromaDB database. It's not a YouTube video. It's pretty simple. He had a Git repository where he had like a super basic MVP of a RAG app. So I just grabbed it, put it on my React app, fixed a couple things, and got it to work. And it was pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Are you like using Cursor or like any sort of like AI powered dev, or what are you using?
I didn't until literally 2.5 months ago. Before I was just going back and forth on GPT for my work. But man, now that I'm using Cursor, holy crap. Like it's so fast. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but also, again, I think you could either use it to create more things, especially like being in the space. One thing you mentioned about hackathons, here at least, some hackathons don't allow you to bring your own project, but so far they encourage you to bring your whatever project you're working on to the hackathon and then see what tools you can use to innovate even more. And then you present to sometimes investors that show up to these hackathons. So yeah.
Do you see a lot of people at these hackathons using different dev tools? Like, are they all on Cursor, or are they like, NeoVim and all the different Zed?
So we were so focused on our own project, but within our group, we were a team of 4 people, and only 2 of us were using Cursor. And because we had a TV where we shared like what we're doing, and we were just like, holy crap, this is so easy to like.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of Streamlit, for example. Have you heard of Streamlit?
Yeah, definitely, like the components on Python. Yeah.
Like you don't have to create APIs. So basically, we built this AI agent. Well, it was like a system of 8 different agents that were working together. Very expensive if you launched it. But basically, let's say you're a salesperson and you want to find the CMOs or the CEOs of the automotive industries in Detroit and reach out to them about a product you're selling. That's all you type in a chat, and different AI agents will do Google search for you. They'll find the websites, passes it to the scraper agents. And this is from Toolhouse, by the way. Like 90% of the agents that we used are Toolhouse AI agents. Whenever you get a chance, look up Toolhouse AI. It will blow your mind. I think it's one of the best AI agent concepts out there compared to every other AI agent company that showed up. Like Fetch AI showed up, for example.
Yeah.
They were the biggest sponsor. They're giving $50 million to an incubator for anyone who wants to use their tool to launch a startup. But literally every team that I talked to, they were like, dude, this product is so clunky. Like, it's just, the concept is cool,
Yeah.
but it was just
Yeah.
tool house, 5 programmers in 9 months. They built something so amazing. But anyways, it basically scrapes the websites, finds the contacts, and then creates an email template for you. And another agent finds phone numbers and calls for you. And it was so realistic, the AI agent that we found. It literally calls and talks to, we ended up getting one of the judges' phone numbers call. It was an amazing presentation. Live demo, the AI called the presenter and started like making a sales call. And then at the end, it creates a demo video event
Cool.
based on the colors from their website. Make sure it's customized based on whatever website we scraped the data from. All of that was done with AI agents, and then we couldn't. So everything was done, and I was gonna create APIs to just create a simple front end, and that's when I found out about Streamlit. You don't need to create APIs; you just basically slap on Streamlit on top of your Python code, and boom, you visualize everything. So yeah, pretty cool tool.
Yep. This is
It's
just
pretty
'cause I'm
relevant to
curious.
the automation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. This is just because I'm
Go ahead.
curious. Like, what is the
Yeah.
advantage of using a tool like Toolhouse versus like shipping your agents yourself? If that makes sense. Like, is it like what kind of stuff does it cover?
Career development, and it's not that expensive. I mean, Toolhouse, basically, I think one of the co-founders was the co-founder of Rapid API, and the idea behind Rapid API was you create. So let's say, I mean, technically, yeah, if you're a programmer, you could create your own scraper AI agents, right? But you have to hook everything up yourself. With I'm sorry, with Toolhouse, it's literally as simple as, and their slogan, I think, is 3 lines of code and you get everything done. So you call the scraper API, but you say, hey, I want you to scrape this website and bring me all the phone numbers and XYZ, and also make them into the right format and whatever, right? And it scrapes the website and does everything exactly you want. Like whatever you say, it does exactly that. Same thing with their Google Search API. They have a bunch of them. They're integrating with even Zapier is what I heard. So imagine you just tell it, hey, I want you to call this API and make this workflow at Zapier, and it does it for you, right?
Right.
So it's faster development. I mean, the tool that I just told you about, the sales thing where a bunch of AI agents talk to each other. Granted, we hard coded probably like 30% of it because it's a hackathon we're trying to win, but we were mind blown by how fast we were able to develop something, do like a half live demo, half hard code, right? But we were just mind blown. Like, whoa, this is so amazing. So that's what AI agents do. That they speed up development, and it can create this amazing systems of AIs passing information to each other, and just creating this workflow of AIs taking your input and giving you something magical. So
Right.
now
This
I
is
was
gonna.
one last thing. Sorry,
There you go.
one thing that most teams realize also is that it's very expensive. So that one call that I just told you about, imagine so many AI calls, right?
Okay.
API
Yeah.
calls, a lot of tokens. If a sales agent ends up using that, let's say 10 times a day, and you have multiple sales agents, that's a lot of money, right? But yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So I think that actually kind of leads into the answer to my next question, which is going to be kind of like using these AI agents in these hackathons and off to the side. Like, how does that compare to your day job and like in banking and FinTech? Like, how do you see these types of things being ready for those types of environments, or are they being used already?
We're talking about using them. One thing about a startup, especially the one I'm working for right now, is we just had a round of layoffs actually, because it's focused on the mortgage applications and the housing market. Usually during recession, which I think we're probably moving towards recession right now, maybe not, but there's a high chance, companies cut off any team or any project that is a good initiative, or it's just an innovative idea that we're trying to add, and they focus on things that are right now making them money, right? And keeping them competitive with other companies. So right now, there is a project that we want to work on where we would have an AI agent scans loan applications and finds out any errors or issues and creates an email template based on whatever is not filled out, and whatever needs to be corrected, let's say, and email it to the customer. So just eliminating the loan officer having to go through all that stuff. Right now, they're doing it manually. So that would save a lot of time. There are a couple of other ideas that we've talked about, but right now we're not working on anything related to AI. In Databricks already added AI to their system. So when we do, right now we're using Databricks and AWS pipelines. On Databricks, we use AI when it builds, pipelines and write code. But yeah, we're not doing anything innovative right now, which is why I'm doing it.
But even for like that email thing, would there be like data concerns of like you couldn't used to use OpenAI over the wire, or would you be able to do that? Or would you have to
it would
like,
have to be your own
models?
You would have to host your own LLM, I think. Yeah, because this is sensitive information. And I believe I don't want to say something that's false, but I think AWS is looking to offer that where you can host your own LLM and it's fully private, right?
Yeah, I believe they do have that for like some open source models. I want to say it's called AWS Bedrock. Is like what that service is.
Then that's
like the whole idea.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't played with it yet, but I mean, I feel like that is just the necessary approach for like fintech specifically. Like
100%. Yeah. Because it's funny, most banks and most companies that care so much about security, in my opinion, they're making a big mistake by shying away from AI. Because if a startup that's focusing on, let's say, banking and mortgage industry does focus on AI, they're going to definitely get ahead and have a competitive advantage. But a lot of the banks that I've worked at, most of the project managers and even developers, they're 40 plus or in their 50s, and they're not, of course, they're tech people, but they're not keeping up with the trend. I feel like they're not, out there and looking into what's happening in the space and new technologies.
Right. I feel like it's much more. Okay, so just some random background. Before this, I was working at like fintech and banks specifically for like the last like 5 years. So I have like we could do a whole podcast on this if we wanted to, and we should.
Yeah, so you understand what I'm saying, right?
I totally understand what you're saying. They get almost like defensive about it. Like it never ceases to amaze me how they have an old technology and they're genuinely proud of having it around because they know the guy that sold it to them 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Still. Like it's job security. It's a whole different world. Yeah, it's just a whole different world.
Yeah.
And a bank has never ceased to amaze me with something that they're doing.
Exactly.
Makes me wonder, like, are they using AI for like pen testing and checking for vulnerabilities? Because they could totally use it to test against their system. But if they're not adopting it, it might not be.
Yeah, I feel like pen test is probably a place where they could use it. Without there being too much of like of an issue. The issue is when it touches sensitive or like regulated data, right? Or anything that's like PII, that can't be shooting across servers like crazy. They can't be shooting over to OpenAI. And the biggest fear is they don't want like financial data to be read into these models at all. So like the banks would have to sign deals with OpenAI, which I mean a lot like they could eventually do that, but but most of the banking ecosystem is controlled by like Fiserv and whatnot. And so it's really a factor of if they'll do it or not.
Fiserv is such a terrible company to
is ripe for disruption.
It's a third-party company that. What again?
I said it is ripe for disruption. Is the happiest thing I can say about the way Fiserv.
Yeah, and I don't understand why some banks still use Fiserv because their customer service is also so bad. They any issues, good luck setting up a meeting with them and just asking them about. In this database, can you tell us if you have a timestamp on your ends? Because it doesn't look like there's any timestamp in this table. You might not hear back from them for like a month. And it's just really insane that they exist. Yeah. The bar is so low. I think FinTech is a huge area. Yeah, medical world, FinTech, EdTech, I think is blowing up right now with ideas. Also accounting as well. There's going to be a huge shortage of accounting in the next few years. And investors right now in San Francisco, one of my friends is working on an accounting project to launch, and he had two projects. One was a whole sales agents AI thing, and also the accounting thing. So he had tested these by creating a fake website as if it already exists and ran ads. And he also has like 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. So he posted it, and so he saw a lot of interest for both ideas. And then he took them to investors here in San Francisco, and they told him, Yeah, the sales thing, everyone's doing that. We're not as excited about that, but this accounting thing, there's going to be a huge shortage that like is a big problem we're going to have in the next few years. There aren't that many accountants out there
Right.
anymore. Yeah. So
Yeah,
AI
well,
and
I
automation is
agree
going to
that
be
like on paper as AI is advertised, like it should be a straightforward application. Like there's the generally accepted accounting principles, which is literally a book of all the rules, and then there's like
right.
transactions. And in theory, that AI should
Yeah.
be able to parse that in a way that like people are now.
Yeah.
And I truthfully
Yeah.
believe in
And like,
accounting it could do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and with like sensitive accounting data, one thing on my mind that I heard of in the office today was this middleware service called Antimatter. I think it's called Antimatter. Hope I'm not butchering that, but like it's basically kind of constrains the AI to be able to return like queries without sending sensitive information in response. So like if you ask for a fintech company, like who's the CEO, and they don't want to tell you that, it'll respond in its prompts like the CEO is censored, and it'll like return little censors as if you're reading like a censored document. So
Interesting.
like, because people freak out about the security of it all. And I think they're making options and moving towards like being able to do that in a safe way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be
But I
exciting to see.
I feel like it's just the issue is that like I feel like these LLMs like they're just inherently like statistical models that'll always have a percentage chance of like it just saying something
Yeah,
completely
that's what
random,
scares me. Yeah.
which works in a lot of
Yeah.
scenarios that make a lot of money and are super useful. But then there's some where it's just like a bank can't say something wrong 1% of the time, or they'll get slapped with like a massive
Mm-hmm.
lawsuit. Like it's not
Right.
possible for them, and they have to be like assured of that. And I feel like even with these, like the LLMs are inherently still like just predicting the next word, and it's like very hard to constrain them. Although I know people have made
Yeah.
progress on that, I feel like it's still just prompt engineering at its root, though. It's my concern.
If I should probably do more research on it, but recently I saw a YouTube video on how OpenAI is reaching its limits in terms of, by scaling the same model, they were making it more, faster and better and less lazy and more accurate. But now they're reaching diminishing returns, so they have to find new innovative ways to update the model itself and find new ways. I kind of hope that's the case, to be honest, because it's going way too fast.
I was gonna say the same thing, man. I was like, that actually sounds
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, when I said, I was like, oh, please be true.
Because if honestly they were like, we can't make it any better for 10 years, like there's 10 years worth of work in software to do with
Right.
what we have right now.
Even
If they
5 years, because the way I'm seeing
5 years,
things, yeah, especially like in this space, San Francisco, you get this sense of, especially going to hackathons, you get this as a programmer, you're like, holy, what's going to happen in the next 2 years? And I was having a conversation with one of the founders of a different company. He was just there to see the ideas that are popping up. And he said, oh, don't worry, this is just San Francisco. This is how he feels. Like the rest of the world will be behind for at least 3-4 years for whatever happens in this space.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, yeah, when I look at the last companies I worked for, they were extremely slow when it comes to implementation. And also even the current company I work for. So I'm pretty honest when the VP of tech, works closely with us. And I always mention like, yeah, dude, AI is awesome. I wrote this whole class using AI and spend this much time on it. And I've noticed other programmers are kind of getting pissed at me just being honest about it. One of them just made a comment. He was like, to be honest, I maybe use it like 10% of the time. And I was like, why? That makes sense. But I think there is this, unless a company literally mandates AI, saying you have to use AI, this is a huge project that would take you probably a month to finish, but we need to finish this within a week and a half. If not, I know you're not using AI, right? So please use AI. Unless they do that, it's going to take a long time for I guess developers to be replaced. I give it another at least 5-6 years. But who knows? Who knows?
So you had said that you ran into a situation recently where you had to spin up a database and you used Cursor versus a traditional data scientist did not. And you had got it done, way faster.
Very quickly. And that's what I'm saying. So it's like in the team, there's like tension a little bit where, maybe I should just, zip it and not say anything about it. And sometimes I do. It's just like, I of course, I buy time and I work on my own projects sometimes. But I get what needs to get done. So yeah, I think it depends on a team leader. Whatever company you work for, if they expect you to use Cursor AI, then you can't avoid it. You can't say, oh, AI is optional. It's like, no, AI is a mandate. You have to use it.
Mm.
But yeah, it'd be exciting to see what's going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, I feel like the pressure is just going to be there for everybody to use it, unless you're like safely in a place where you have a memorization of some custom language that somebody else doesn't or something like that.
You know what I've also realized, especially at the hackathon? So there was a guy in our team that wasn't a programmer, okay? He understood programming, like he understood what a class is and what an API means, right? He had never like coded, but he understood like the technical architecture of things, at least at a very high level. And he was in our team, and he actually coded 70% of everything we coded.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I noticed to be fair, he's an AI consultant. His startup is basically going to different companies and training their people to use AI tools. So he's like he knows a bunch of AI tools. And so I noticed it's also a skill to know how to use AI. He was so good at it. I mean, I use AI pretty much every day, but Cursor AI, I was still new at it when I went to the hack like 2 months ago. But him, not a programmer, using Cursor AI and prompting and all that, versus me and another programmer that we relied on our own intellect. It was like, oh, I'm going to code this and use AI and fix this. He was like, scroll that. I'm not a programmer, so I'm going to put all of it on AI's shoulders, right? He was able to develop faster than both of us, which was pretty mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. I'd like to dive into that actually, because like I was going to ask a similar question, because you guys both have computer science backgrounds. I don't. And so I did learn how to code the traditional way, but I'm curious, like with Cursor, it's kind of becoming mandatory. Like for someone more junior, like I think there's a way for Cursor to kind of also ask questions about the code base and like teach them how to code that way. But it's risky because if they don't use that, they're not truly learning how to code. So what do you guys think about what would you do if you were starting out again and all these AI tools were just everywhere?
So if I was you go.
I think especially in comp sci, there's like two types of people. Majority, I would say, they're very religious about programming and code and that whole computer science world. I was not meant to be a programmer. Like I studied microbiology, and I was like, I get my minors in computer science after. But then because of the people that I met, I ended up finishing my comp sci bachelor's, and I disliked it. I just wanted to do tech sales or tech consulting. But then I got into a blockchain team at Amex and really loved it. Then after that, so I ended up becoming a programmer kind of by accident, I would say. But even though I finished a whole bachelor's on it, I would say a programmer is someone who solves problems, programs a computer to create a solution. And the best feeling is when, whether you use AI or Cursor AI, I'm a lot happier now that I'm using AI and building things. You know how before AI, you compile something and it works, and you get this like, yes, it works.
That dopamine hit,
it's not to the power of 10. It's a lot bigger. So I think if anyone's starting out right now and they're focusing on like, oh, let me study data structures and algorithms and discrete math, what a bullcrap class was that? Unless you want to get into research, I get it. More power to you.
Some of us took that a couple times. So
I took 2 of those classes.
Bro, I swear there were like 4 classes in the computer science curriculum that were the exact same discrete math class. I swear to God.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me anymore. So 1, I would not get a degree in computer science. 2, if anything, do boot camp, but don't focus so much on, am I a real developer because I really can't code it. Most of it is AI. Good. If you could put as much as you can in AI, in my opinion, if I have a startup, I would hire someone who can build the features that I want them to build, versus someone who knows how to code, but they're a lot slower. You know what I mean? I mean, best of both worlds would be preferred. But if someone's starting out from scratch, I would want them to use AI constantly to the point where, dude, do 90% AI, 10% coding yourself, you're hired. That's my attitude towards that. Because you can do that as a person who doesn't know coding right now. You could maybe understand networking, understand how the cloud works, understand basic concepts of computer science, understand basic coding. When I say basic, spend 2 months on coding and all the topics I just mentioned, then get AI to build stuff for you. If you do that for a whole year, by the end of the year, you could build things so fast in any realm, blockchain, cybersecurity, pick a niche, right? Because AI will walk you through it based on your knowledge, right? If you don't know something, you could ask AI, hey, so how should I do this? Can you walk me
Yeah.
through step by step?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think AI is going anywhere. I would say now that's like saying, would you use a calculator I remember I took statistics and we used calculators for everything. And I didn't have to learn all the math behind all the statistical problems. I had to learn how to use a calculator. That's the way I would
Totally.
look at it. Anyways.
Yeah, I agree with Sorhan's assessment. Very, 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 very much so. But I always think of it as like in computer science, like computer science school is like generally one of the newer disciplines. So it's like not sorted enough, like engineering and physics is the way I think about it. Like there's all these different
Mhm.
types of engineering, but there's not all these different types of software engineering, even though there probably could be, right? There's not
Mhm.
even a software engineering degree, which is ridiculous. But basically, like I think of it as like there's people that are like tinkerers, is what I like to call it, which is like people that like to build other stuff that people use, right? Which is like not necessarily like I like to think it's a better thing because that's how I am, but that's not necessarily true, right? The other type of person I like to think
Mhm.
of them as like I can't think of a good name for it, but it's like a specialist or like it's typically people that like puzzles, like that if they solve a puzzle on their own, they'll feel very validated, like I did it, and they don't have to tell anybody about it. Like I don't feel that at all. Like I know people do, but I do not. Like if I solved a puzzle on my
Yeah.
own and I didn't, and it wasn't to beat my friend who also did it, like there's no way that I'm excited. But a lot of people like there's
Yeah.
joy in solving that puzzle, and that's what makes them seem slower. But they're often just better suited for like specialist jobs, like jobs where like the AI
Mhm.
actually might not be that helpful if you wrote this entire library yourself and you know everything and it
Mhm.
doesn't, etc. Right? Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm very much in the tinkerer like category, and like I think that's where a lot more progress could be made than people think because you could be a generalist and
Yeah.
connect a lot of things together to deliver real value in a way that a lot of people really aren't trained to see because a lot of people are trained from school to be those specialists that kind of dive in and know every
Mhm.
detail of a specific thing. That's
Yeah.
my
I
10
think to
cents
build
on
on
it.
top of
Yeah.
that, like I know the creator of C++, like that Bjarke, good old Bjarke, he said that if you want to learn coding, like jump in and build something that you really want to make work. And so it can be kind of like a puzzle and tinkering at the same time. And then using something like Cursor, to Sorhan's point, is like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I've run into a wall here. And you could be like, feed it the context as if someone's in the room with you. Whereas previously, like you just get stuck and have to go look at that. So it could kind of hold your hand through a very powerful way of learning how to build something that you're actually
Yeah, that's a
interested
good
in.
point. I hadn't considered how puzzles are probably a good way to learn. I just feel like my whole day is spent stopping our code from looking like a puzzle in any way, shape, or form in real life.
Yeah.
Like
I
that
think
is the
that's
most frustrating thing when you're just like this. I don't know what this code did, and like someone has some esoteric language feature they love. Soraya, it was great to meet you, man. We should talk more about
You too,
fintech.
man. Yeah.
I tried to hide that side of me, but I could actually complain
yeah.
about Fiserv for
Yeah.
hours on
I'm,
end.
I'm planning in the next 3 months. I'm planning on going to more hackathons. So basically, right now, what's going to happen in SF? AI is just everyone's talking about AI, 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 AI. That's just like bread and butter of every hackathon. But blockchain's gonna make a comeback again, especially with the Bitcoin bull market.
With
Have
Elon. Yeah.
Elon, yeah, the Dogecoin, the whole like Department of,
The
uh,
Department of
Doge. Yeah.
Doge.
Department of
Yep.
Government
he's
Efficiency.
got like Dogecoin. Yeah, he literally pumps the coin by just creating a government agency.
How is that not a conflict of interest, right? It's like, it's
Well, yeah,
literally called the Doge.
doesn't own any Dogecoin, but
Okay.
The Doge
meme
is
coins,
everybody's.
yeah. But I think no, I think I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. Basically, Web3 is gonna make a comeback. Facebook didn't change their name to Meta for just like a fad, it's
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
comeback. Like California just recently put all the car notes uh, on Avalanche blockchain, so now it's decentralized. You don't have to go to court to prove that you own the car. It's all on blockchain and you can access it. Same thing's going to happen with the mortgage industry. Any house deed is going to be eventually on blockchain. It doesn't happen in America as much, but in Iran, for example, where I grew up, if you have a vacation home somewhere and that you see every summer, sometimes what's happening is the next year you go back and someone's living there with a new lock and they have a paper from the court saying they own it. And good luck trying to say that's your house. We have
Right. Well, damn.
Because it's centralized, So
Yeah.
blockchain will fix a lot of issues like that. With NFTs, you could fix that, right? It's not just JPEGs, but I think it's going to make a comeback. Usually Bitcoin reaches all-time highs. After that, it will attract a lot of developers to the blockchain space, especially smart contracts. So then Ethereum will pop, Solana will pop, and you're going to see a lot of innovations happening again in this space. And I'm excited. That's literally why I moved here. I wanted to be here before the bull market and see, what's happening in this space and hopefully quit my job and pursue entrepreneurship full time.
Nice. Yeah. So hopefully we have you on again, man. Is fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was cool.
Yeah.
Just get started building, like just build something with AI. That's like the message from all of this that I heard is that Sorhan built a lot of things. His friends built a lot of things. You could build a lot of things too.
And you don't have to be a programmer. That's like the big thing. I think through our conversations, what's happening in this space right now is developing software solutions is becoming easier than ever before. So if you're a programmer already, in my opinion, looking at your career, don't look at, in 5, 10, 20 years, you could probably exit in 5 years if you do it right. If you build a software, it doesn't have to be a unicorn idea, something that people would use, $2, $3, $4 subscription. One more thing I would say about my friend's app, the subscription that for the Notes app thing, the flashcards one, it's I think $3 a month, $4 a month, and then $7 a month. Those are 3 packages. That's it. If you could build a software that somebody would pay $7 a month or $2 a month for, which, I mean, the ideas are endless. It could even be something that's already out there. The market is so big, you can use influencers to give you shout outs. Go do it and become an entrepreneur. I think being a programmer is an easy path to become an entrepreneur these days.
Never been easier.
Thanks for listening to this conversation with Sorhan. To support this podcast, please leave us a review, comment, and share with others you think may be inspired by AI. And now let me leave you with some words from Alan Watts. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Thank you for listening and hope to see you next time.